My name is Linda Bostic-Smith. I'm an artist and we'll be showing you how to make a charcoal portrait. And we'll be using a photograph from a magazine, just like this. The supplies you will need are a regular pencil like this, a charcoal pencil like these, stick charcoal that you can buy at any art supply place. This is a sewing gauge, which I love to use on all of my portraits, but you can use just a plain old ruler. This is a kneaded eraser, and you can squeeze it and pose it any way to erase on your paper. These are blending sticks that I like to use, different sizes to give you an idea of what's out there. And last but not least, you will need fixative. And this is the final fixative, and you never use this, of course, until the end of your portrait. But you need to use the workable fixative in between times when you're working. I like to start with a light outline of the face. And this, of course, will change as we go along with the charcoal. But I like to frame it in kind of lightly to get an idea of the tilt of the head around. Of course, all of this will change when you add charcoal. And then, of course, you make the X or cross to indicate where the eyes are going to sit. And then, of course, I always start with one eye. To get a kind of somewhat good idea of where to place the other eye, I always measure the eye I have just drawn. And since people are so different and the eyes are either closer together or far apart or in between, I have measured this, and her other eye would be about this far away. I'm going to draw this eye, and keep in mind when you attempt your drawing, you can apply these principles to every item on the face, the nose, the mouth, the ears, and use that measurement practice. That way the portrait will look as close to her true likeness as it actually is. You really don't have to be concerned about detail in your pencil sketch, because you're going to put your true detail and moles, wrinkles, whatever in with the charcoal. So after you lay the drawing out and measure, and according to the picture you have here, I got the distance, I think, fairly good between the eyes, and so I compare the drawing to the portrait, and I make my comparisons and measure and draw the distance from the eye to the nose, and proceed on and on, etc., etc., to other positions on the face. And I'll finish up with the cheekbone and proceed down. And it doesn't have to be exact or precise. Like I said, the charcoal is going to take care of all of that. Do the neck as close to correct as I can, just visually looking at it. Keep in mind that portraits are not like photographs, and each artist will do a portrait different, and it's all in the individual artist and how they see the person. Everyone is different. I like to start from left to right simply because I am right-handed. Of course, if you're left-handed, you could work on the opposite side of the face. The purpose in that is to not drag your hand through the charcoal and mess yourself up, and the portrait itself, because it smudges really easy. And so I start with just the soft charcoal. The reason I use it is I use the charcoal pencils to make the detail, and this is just for the soft areas of the skin and where I really don't want to have a lot of detail. And I don't know why, but I like to start around the eyes. I guess because it's the old saying, the windows of the soul. So I start there, and I don't rely on just pure charcoal for everything. I go to the blending stick because the blending stick is a wonderful tool to make marks as well. So it doesn't have to be pure charcoal all over. Now I'll go back to the soft charcoal, put the first eye in, and you can use the kneaded eraser, like where you've marked where you'd rather not mark. You pinch the kneaded eraser to a fine edge, and you make the eye look a little bit more definite. Cleans it up. A good rule that I like to keep in the back of my mind is I don't really understand the quality of papers all that much, but I know that it's a good idea with charcoal to leave the highlights clean as you can, because that's where you can get into trouble and you are stuck with that dark spot, say in a highlight like here on her nose. You want that to be extremely bright, but however there is another trick that you can use if you don't mind using white pastel, to go in there and lay white pastel in to clean up the area. But some people don't like to do that, but it's fine by me. If I get too dirty with the charcoal, I know that I can rely on the white pastel for most of my artwork. And use your blending stick. This is especially good for your medium area where you have your very extremely dark, and then of course you have your light here, and you're going to have your medium color. And I've got just a little bit too much on there, so I'm going to erase some of that. Wasn't watching what I was doing. And that should be good. And it's extremely dark under the nose here. I wouldn't worry about that too much right now with the soft pastel, because what you can do later on, as we get a little further along, is use your charcoal pencils. I'll come over here to this cheek and put that dark area. And I like to have the character lines